Give me my theme music. What is up, Buffs Nation? And welcome in to Buffs News Weekly Live. We are back. Apologies again for the last week. I'm going to get into it just a little bit here in just a moment to let you guys kind of know what's going on, why I was out of contact for the last week or two. So we'll get that going here in just a second. But appreciate all you guys for dropping in, saying hello. Thank you guys so much for the support. But we've got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, missing 2 weeks is going to do that. So we've got to talk about the Cincinnati game because I have yet to comment on that. We're going to talk about the big recruiting weekend that was the Cincinnati game. We're going to talk about the massive weekend that this weekend was, as Colorado ended up being probably one of the most, I guess you could say we definitely won the bye with how many things occurred this weekend. What's up, Kevin? Appreciate you dropping in. So a lot of things to talk about right now, guys. Everything is happening all at once. And you know, it's just a really exciting time, guys. Who knew 2 weeks ago we would be where we are right this moment, setting up not only the potential for what is going to happen here at the end of the season, but also long-term, because the success of the Buffs and the surprising lack of performance from a bunch of other teams may be setting up the Buffs when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to what's going to happen in future seasons. So we're going to discuss all of that here on today's show. But just to start out, I wanted to just, have that conversation with you guys. I'm somebody that believes in being completely transparent with everybody, especially when it comes to social media and the like, because I know that sometimes social media is just a front for what's kind of going on. And people could say, man, it seems like everything's perfect. But I always appreciate people who are real on here and actually talk about life things and what's going on. So just so you guys know, the reason why I was not around for the last 2 weeks, I guess a little bit of, some family loss occurred last weekend. Just so you guys know, I am married. I've been married to my wife for a number of years. We've been trying to have a child for a number of years. About 2 years back, we were able to get pregnant. And in the 23rd week, my wife unfortunately had a stillbirth due to preeclampsia. If you know what that is, it's just a very bad disease that we still don't even know everything about, which caused my wife to miscarry and have to give birth to our son, who was unfortunately did not live through that. And then on top of that, because of the preeclampsia and because of our infertility issues when we weren't able to get pregnant, she it was told you should never get pregnant again, because the risk to her life was massive. We spent probably 5 days in the hospital. She had to take a number of medications. It was just really, really bad. Her blood pressure skyrocketed through the roof to the point that we almost lost her. And so we were told by the doctors to not get pregnant again. Well, unfortunately, we had a friend who decided to volunteer to be a surrogate for us because my wife couldn't get pregnant again. And she got pregnant back in March, not March. I think it was June. Unfortunately, this past weekend, she was rushed to the hospital via airlife. They live in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. They were airlifted to Denver. That is when I had to drop everything and go down to Denver with my wife to be with her friend. And unfortunately, we lost the second baby at 20 weeks. So we were at 20 weeks, 4 days. She gave birth to him Saturday night, literally as the kickoff to the Buffs game occurred. I had been watching the game right before everything happened. And literally was right when Ralphie was running that I had to run into the hospital room because she gave birth. Our son lived for 2 minutes. If for those of you who know anything about pregnancy or anything like that, 20 weeks, the baby does not have fully developed lungs, so there's no viability at that point. Viability is set at, I believe, 23 or 24 weeks. So unfortunately, he didn't make it. So it was a rough weekend to say the least. Our friend stayed in the hospital for about 4 days. So we were in Denver just living in the hospital for 4 days throughout last weekend, which is why I wasn't around last weekend, which is why we didn't do the Wednesday show. I didn't comment on the game. So apologies for that. And so that's just kind of the life update right now where we're at. So unfortunate. We're very sad. Obviously, still grieving through the process. But part of that process is getting back to kind of some normality, and that really helps. So getting to come back to you guys, getting to talk Buffs football, getting to come back to Buffs Nation, just all the wonderful community and connection that I've had through this, along with the unbelievable support that I've had on YouTube and for this channel. So I really, really do appreciate it. So part of that is me coming back to this because this is what makes it all worth it. This makes it a ton of fun. This gives me some extra things to go on in life. And so that was just something that we really, really wanted to do. And I was very excited for this stream. So hopefully you guys are too. I see the comments already. Thank you so much, Chairman A. $20 super chat. Keep your head up, soldier. Wish more blessings you and your family. Pray for you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. My family does. My wife and myself really, really, really appreciate it. Brian, sorry to hear that. Appreciate it. Thank you. Patrick, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Like I said, I want to be transparent with people. I hate when people are one thing online and something else in real life. And I also will say this, and this is kind of my last little message about this before we move on. I don't think people realize how common and often infertility and pregnancy issues occur. I think the only thing we ever see online is the whole, everybody, the nice pregnancy announcement and the nice, baby shower, and then the baby's born and everything's wonderful and perfect. And I think a lot of people stray away from being real and showing exactly what's going on. I know that was a big thing that we were, dealing with because we didn't realize how common it was talking to doctors throughout this process. It was the biggest thing that we got was this happens all the time, guys. It happens all the time. And it happens frequently in the percentages. What makes it bad though on our case, the doctors were shocked. So the only reason we moved forward with surrogacy with our friend was because we were told that it would be 100% safe. They're like, there's no way that anything that happened to you guys is going to happen to this friend. She's had multiple children. Everything's been perfect. We wouldn't have done it if there was this high level of risk like there would have been for my wife. And well, unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And they said that this situation, the doctors said, and they're literally like, we've talked to doctors across the country. Nobody has said that this was possible. And so you are like one of those cases that's going to be used in a book. Literally, the odds of this happening to us in the way it did, the doctors equated it to lightning striking the same location and the same person twice. So when you hear that stuff, it's just kind of insane. But, if anybody else out there is watching this later on, if anybody else out there has gone through something similar, just know that you're not alone. There are lots of people going through it. And I won't get political with it, but there's a lot that has led me to some more political beliefs because of what happened and how they happened. But just know it's not a great thing, but there are a lot of people out there that struggle through that as well. And so don't think that you're the only person when it comes to that, if you are struggling with that. And I appreciate all of the support from Buff Nation. I appreciate all the people dropping comments, watching things, commenting on my post where I talked about, how I was going to be out of kind of contact for a little bit because of the family emergency. And then also, I even saw some comments from people on different videos just asking where I was, wanting to know when I was coming back. So I do appreciate it. Kevin, thank you so much. 1999. Sorry, Russ, blessings to you and your family, praying for you. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. We are just so thankful to our community. For those of you that don't know, we used to live in Colorado. We live in Montana now. Going back to Colorado for this just showed us how wonderful our community was there. So that was really awesome to get to be around friends and family in that situation, just because Colorado is our home. That is where we're originally from. My wife and I both grew up there, born and raised in Colorado. And so getting to go back again, getting to spend time with friends and family in this kind of tragedy was really helpful and nice. And then, of course, it is just a game. I get that. But I know that a lot of you out there that are watching this right now would probably agree with me when I say that football is a reprieve. Sports are a reprieve from things that happen in our life. And that is why, we watch sports, is because it does give us, fun and enjoyment and great things. And so, getting to watch the game after everything that happened and getting to sit there and enjoy a Buffs win and seeing how well they played against Cincinnati that night, definitely helped the situation and made things a lot better. So as I was watching that game, I just kept thinking to myself, I can't wait to get to talk to you guys about the game, get to talk about what's going on with the Buffs, and just get back to some normality. And so that's the life update. I appreciate all you guys for the support, the comments. Just you guys watching is just enough. So anything you guys can do as far as subscriptions, likes, those are the things I care about. I absolutely love the super chats, but you don't feel like you need to throw money this way. We're fine. We're doing good right now. And so, that's just where we're at with that. So without further ado, let's get to the Cincinnati game. Let's get to the discussion here. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on what you thought of the game. I know it's been over a week, but it's been over a week to think about this, to see other football teams, to see what happened this weekend and how massive that win against Cincinnati became, simply because it was 2 5-2 teams. I don't think anybody before the season saw that going into that game as the 5-2 teams. Cincinnati and us were projected to be at the bottom. I also would like to say it's awesome to see all of the preseason pundits out there that put Colorado at the bottom, that put Cincinnati at the bottom. All of these teams that are doing really well, Arizona State, BYU, teams that they said were going to struggle in the Big 12. It has completely flipped on its head, with teams that were supposed to do great not, and teams that were supposed to be at the bottom at the top, which is going to bring us to our topic of today's show, because I am going to break down the scenarios that now can lead the Buffs to a Big 12 championship berth. And honestly, the path is looking good. Okay. We still need a little help. The path is not in our hands fully yet. Okay. Not in our hands fully yet, but the path is there. So when it comes to the Cincinnati game, defensively, I wanted to talk about a couple things in the basement. You kind of brought it up. Shiloh still missing tackles, definitely slated for the 8th round of the NFL draft. He is still struggling. I think his style does not translate to what the NFL is today. If Shiloh Sanders had have been where he is, back in the 2000s, the 90s, he would have been a draft pick in the sense that he was just that big thumping type safety that they wanted. But now it's more of a coverage game. It's more of that athleticism and just sure tackling ability rather than the thumping, because we really don't have that anymore. We have rules against that stop that. So I definitely think that Shiloh struggled again to an extent. Obviously, was way better than the Kansas State game. We can say that at least. But wasn't as good as the prior week to that for him. The big thing I want to talk about, and I don't know if people are talking about this enough. I see it a little bit out there, but our defensive backs, outside of Travis, because obviously Travis is getting the attention that he deserves. Outside of Travis, those guys are balling, okay? They are balling because that game alone, Preston Hodge had a number of pass breakups. Travis had a number of pass breakups. So it is amazing to see just how good our defensive backfield actually is, and how well they are performing. Because if we want to be honest, that is probably one of the biggest reasons that we dominated that game for most of it. I will say I didn't love how the team ended. I thought we were going to go to a full-on blowout win, and we kind of sat back a little bit. We could have easily hit the 40s, which is what my prediction was. If you guys remember, I said 42-31. I said an 11-point victory. Guess what? We got an 11-point victory, just not as many points as I thought we were going to get. But the defense also performed better than I thought they would by nearly a touchdown, which I thought was absolutely wonderful. So when it comes to passes defended, Preston Hodge, 2 passes defended. Travis Hunter, 4 passes defended. Unbelievable stuff. DJ McKinney 1, and Nakai Hill Green had a really nice play as well. Thank you, Charles, again. Appreciate all the support and comments. Roberto, appreciate you as well. So yeah, it's unbelievable defensive stats. We did not do the same sack that we did previous games. We only got 1 sack out of there, which was Cameron Silman Craig on the safety blitz. But other than that, we were getting pressure. They weren't really able to get too comfortable. I love the tackling stats. Again, Cameron Silman Craig is making himself money, guys, because that guy will be going to the NFL with what he's able to do. Okay. Basement Carter ran the ball 39 times, a new record under Coach Prime. Yep. We'll get to that now. Let's talk about that offense and what I saw, which was an absolutely unbelievable way of running the ball. Isaiah Augustov is continuing to take hold of that running back room and running back job. He is averaging for that game 4.1 yards a carry. That is unbelievable and exactly what we need. 22 carries, 91 yards. I wanted him so bad to hit the 100-yard mark and be the first rusher there to get that point on this team. A touchdown. Shador, of course, getting his 1 rushing touchdown. Hayden, not bad. Okay, guys, he had some plays he wasn't able to break, but 3.6 yard average. I'll take that. If we can have over 3.5 yards per carry, do the math there. That's 7 yards on 2 carries. That puts it at 3rd and 3. I will take 3rd and 3 every single time with this team. So if we can get over 3.5 yards per carry on average by the running backs themselves, that is going to be exactly where we need to sit. And so that is a very, very important mark for the team to hit. And then, of course, this was my big thing. And I talked about this on the Wednesday show before the game. I projected that Deion, Coach Prime, was going to put together a game plan with Pat Shurmur where Shador was going to have one of his best games. And for a long time, he was having probably his best game. I can't remember how many completions he had in a row, but ending 25 of 30 for 323 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like the stats don't fly off the page, but that is some very, very good stuff when it comes to a quarterback. Very, very good. Of course, Travis Hunter, 153 yards and 2 touchdowns. If that did not put him in the, I know people were saying, oh, Travis is in talks for the Heisman. That performance put him back at the top, 100%. that put him at the top of the Heisman talk because 153 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4 pass breakups on the defensive side. That is absolutely insane. Those are the kind of stats that are going to easily allow him to run away with the Heisman for sure. Okay, Riley, anything is possible. Win this next game and look out. Hey, it's just 1-0. 1-0 every week. That's all we're caring about. We're still going to talk about it because we as fans can talk about what are the mathematical, things that we need to see happen. But if we're being honest, we are going to have a chance in every game here on out. Starting with this week at Texas Tech, it's an afternoon game. It's a Saturday away game. We like playing those. We're going back to Texas, which is, going to be a fan. We're going to have some decent fans there. I think the guys are going to be ready to get up for that game after the bye week. You're getting 2 weeks to plan. A lot of things are working in our favor going into this game this weekend. And so I do like our chances heavily. CU did not get stuck in 10 personnel against the Bearcats, which is really encouraging. I love what's happening, guys. Both the defense and the offense are evolving as the season goes. And I just love what they're putting out there each and every week. And we are getting better and better each and every week, guys. We are not just staying stagnant. There are things that are getting better. And to see the run game get that much better this week shows what we can do going forward. And that's going to be an important aspect. Of course, we can talk about Jimmy Horn, LeJontay Wester, Draylon Miller again, having some, decent stats, getting 2 catches for 27 yards. He's doing quite well. So overall, the team is just looking so consistent and good across the board. And let's, kind of to end this and to end the Cincinnati talk, probably my most impact way and what I am most surprised about, guys, is the play of Jordan Seaton. Guys, we are seeing something that you don't see very often. Like, I know Proctor played for Alabama last year. He had some struggles at times. I really cannot say when Seaton has struggled. Then again, that is the SEC versus the Big 12, so I can give Proctor that. But the fact is, Seaton has come in and been consistently one of the best offensive linemen on this team each and every week, and he's probably going to continue and only get better each and every week. Guys, we have a cornerstone on the offensive line to build around for the next 2 to 3 years, 2 years most likely after this season. And so what we do from here as far as recruiting goes and filling out the rest of the line, we are looking good when it comes to that, which I guess can bring us to the next point. Let's talk about this really quickly before we look to the future when it comes to this season, but that is recruiting. And let's talk about what happened last week in recruiting. Since I missed that, I was out of contact. Recruiting. We got 2 commitments last week. One of them being Christian Hudson. That was kind of a given. UCF flip. That one I'm a little hesitant to really celebrate because the guy has committed 4 different times, and that's not a good thing to me. But we are getting much closer to signing day rather than a couple years out. So Christian Hudson, 3-star defensive lineman. He's going to be a nice project to go alongside Brandon Davis-Swain, the rookie who freshman this year, who hopefully will be sticking around and continuing to build up. Defensive lineman, you're not going to come in as a freshman and be that effective. That position is more about development and development of your body and strength, which again, technique. When you come and play for us, you get to play with Damian Lewis and Warren Sapp. That is some really, really good stuff for them to develop. And then Adrian Wilson, which, by the way, Adrian Wilson is the highest rated commit that we have when it comes to the 2025 class per on 3. Now, again, we don't love on 3, but that still doesn't matter. He is a hard 4-star, a little bit better than Quinnell Farrakhan Jr., but look at that. We've got 2 4-star high wide receivers. Chauncey Gooden, the guard, coming in at a decently high. Alex Graham for a long time was our highest commit. And now he is still up there with 4-star. Antonio Branch, the other flip that happened recently. There's Christian Hudson, the top of our 3 stars. Mantrez Walker, Corbin Lazier, Zane D'Souza and Jay Gardenhire. Okay. We are starting to build a class, everybody. Okay. We are starting to build a class. We're already at 10, which, by the way, that was roughly our number last year, was 10 high school commits. I think we ended up with 11 or 12 when it was all said and done because of some last minute people who, by the way, are not really a part of this program anymore. But the 10 commits, okay, the 10 commits are a really great thing to see, and especially because we're building momentum with more people. Okay, so Adrian Wilson, Christian Hudson, both at the game, both committed this weekend. Really enjoyed their time at Colorado to see that Cincinnati game. And by the way, the crowd at Folsom was electric. That game was electric to see. The team kept them on the edge of their seats going with a lot of big time plays and energy. And that was just a great, great, great weekend to be at a Buffs game. So I'm glad that we got the commits that we did to come to that game in particular. The other ones we need to talk about, this one is a funny one, but one that we absolutely need. Rhett Armstrong. Okay. Rhett Armstrong, 5-star kicker. Okay. You never see that, guys. You never see a 5-star kicker. What is going on? There we go. Rhett Armstrong. I haven't seen what On3 ranks him at. He's not even rated on 3. Oh, he was, I guess, 3-star there. I think a little bit. They don't rank kickers. Okay. Fact is, though, this kid is committed to Baylor, was at the CU game this weekend, has been doing some more CU posts. And of course, the big reason why we have a chance and a shot at getting him right here. Hometown is Monument, Colorado, which for those of you that have been to Colorado, you're about an hour, 2 hours away from Boulder, 2 hours, 2.5 hours away from Boulder. So I think that's a massive reason why we might be having a chance at him. Kid can kick easily 50-yard field goals, but not only that, he's also a punter. So he could maybe see some time and win that punting job with Bassett leaving this year. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. And then, of course, the two big ones, which everybody's been talking about, which is going to play into our next segue here. The segue being Juju Lewis and Cardi Smith. Cardi and Juju both at the game, both having an awesome time at the game. They were enjoying themselves in Boulder. They got to see Boulder at its best. The fans were eating them up, like really going after them. The basement on 3 Epic haters. They fired analyst Philip Dukes just for supporting Coach Prime. 100%. We are all on board with Dukes. I would love to reach out to him and see if I could ever get him on a podcast. I know that he's done a couple other CU content creator podcasts, so who knows, maybe I can get him in at some point. But he is an unbelievable. I love his analysis. I love his coverage. So that's a really important thing to me. And the fact that On3 got rid of him, I still don't get that. If it's true, it was because of him not giving out live how he's getting the access that he was, because most likely it might be a NCAA violation. I just think that was absolutely stupid. And if that is truly the case of why and what happened, then yeah, 100%, that's really stupid. But when it comes to Juju and Cardi and how their weekend went, the pictures coming out of the weekend were awesome to see. I loved seeing both of them get the love from the fans, with signs and painted chest and, all of that stuff. Like, that was so cool to be able to watch and see that happen. So we had this moment, and I'll pull it up real quick. We won't do the audio for it, but this was what we were talking about. You had the Juju and Cardi pictures on the sideline from the fans. They were showing the love. Everything that was going on overall with Cardi's visit just shows that, I think there's a high likelihood that he's flipping to Colorado. I really, really do. And to be honest, that goes into this week. Okay. So let's transition. Okay. This week was one of the best weekends for a college football team that didn't play. The Big 12, Iowa State lost. Kansas State lost. Okay. Massive, massive stuff for Colorado because it now puts us tied for second place in the Big 12 and a chance to get to that Big 12 championship game. But not only did the Big 12 teams lost, USC lost, and of course, Nebraska lost, which we'll always love a week where Nebraska loses. So all of that momentum that Nebraska had leading up to their Super Bowl that was Colorado has now completely tanked off, and they are at risk of missing a bowl game yet again. They only need one win away from a bowl game, okay? They've had a couple weeks to get that one win, and they have struggled mightily. In fact, their quarterback has struggled, which, by the way, if you guys remember, go back to the week of the Nebraska game and the week after. I said, hey, Dylan Raiola has got something. The kid is going to be a good quarterback. But I said he is still a freshman. He is going to struggle at times. You cannot pile onto him. You cannot say that he's not good. You got to be patient. His freshman year is going to be difficult. If we get Juju and he comes and plays and we put him in the starting role as a freshman, everyone is going to have to be patient. Okay, you're going to have to be patient with the offense, with him as a player. If he starts as a true freshman, it is about building him up into the quarterback that Shedeur was. Go back and watch Shedeur's freshman season. And we've seen that actually recently here on, on Twitter. Somebody posted a video of Shedeur's freshman year when he just sprinted into the end zone. He looked so fast, but that was because he was so much smaller. Okay. He has since bulked up, and which is a really good thing, by the way. I commented on the post about it, that the reason why we don't see that Shedeur anymore is because he has bulked up his body to be able to deal with the punishment that comes at high level football, not only for Power 4, but for eventually the NFL. There is no way that freshman Shedeur Sanders would have survived behind last year's line. We're getting better. We're getting much better. We're keeping Shedeur upright and clean this season. I talked about that. Even if we let half of the sacks that we did last season, that we would be in a much better position as a team. And so far, that is the case. In fact, let me go look. I have not looked recently at where our allowed sacks are at, but that is something that I would love to take a look at real quick here, guys. Okay, so quarterback sack, they just have the percentage. We don't have the number of sacks. If somebody has seen that or knows where to find that, let me know. I would love to just look at the actual stats for the season. I really would. Team stats. No, still percentages. Yep, no numbers. I would love to know if you guys have that or know where we can find that, because I would love to take a look at how many sacks we have let up. Because last week, I think we let up one against Cincinnati. We had that one game where we allowed, I think, another one that we allowed just one. So that tells me a lot. Hold on, let's check ESPN and see if ESPN has those stats. Yeah, so we have 26. Yep, there it is. 26 sacks. Okay, located right here, guys. So 26 sacks for 204 yards this season. Let's go to last year, of course, and see how we are doing. So 56. So for over double the yards, okay? So we are looking much better. Basement, that 1 second. Yep, it was. And Pro Football Focus did give that to Shedeur. They said after the game that the offensive line for Colorado did not allow a sack. Okay. 2 tight ends, White was staring down Travis. He even tried to blame the sack. Yeah, I remember the audio on that one. I guess Travis didn't do what he was supposed to do, but still there's other people open. We can't just focus on one guy sometimes. Get a little too locked into that for sure. Welcome in, Shirley. Welcome. Appreciate you dropping in and hanging out with us again on this Sunday. Okay, so as I said, of who lost, who won, let's take a look at what we are going to have to do to get to the Big 12 championship. This is the part of the show that everybody wants to be here for. Okay, this is the important stuff. Okay, right here, by the way, this is a site that you can go to. I'm going to post a comment in, and I'll also put it in the description of the video if you guys want to go to it later on. This website allows you to do the calculations using the rules for the conference. So it's going to use the tie-breaking rules, okay? I had a lot of back and forth on Twitter yesterday talking about whether or not we would have the tiebreaker with Iowa State, if it was just, what is our record against other teams? What does that look like? So this one tells you, okay? So right now you can see I've got Colorado winning out. Okay, that's the first thing that has to happen. Colorado has to win out. If not, we're going to need a ton of help. Okay, so I have Colorado winning out the rest of the season. Then we have got the key is Iowa State. Okay, we are tied with Iowa State at 4-1. BYU still undefeated. So the big one that I want to show you, okay, is Iowa State. If they lose any game, that is what we need. Any game. Even if Kansas State wins that game and say, that one obviously, yes. But even if let's say Iowa State loses this week to Kansas, okay? Keep everything else the same. We're going to calculate the standings. And you can see here, obviously, we get in, right? Here's the problem, okay? And this is what I was trying to talk about, okay? If we win out and Iowa State wins out, Iowa State gets into the Big 12 championship. And that is because winning percentage against the number 4 team. So what it does, the tiebreaker that this would go down to is like opponents, and then it ranks them. Okay. So we don't play BYU, so it can't do that. We don't play Iowa State, so we can't do head to head. The next one is Kansas State. That's going to be the deciding factor unless Kansas State drops. Okay. So if I go back, let's say Kansas State loses this game to Arizona State, right? Let's take a look. Same. Okay. That's because of conference winning percentage at that point. So then the next tiebreaker comes. We go conference winning percentage rather than Cincinnati, okay, or Kansas State or any of that. So again, we lose out. So the only way that we are getting in is if Iowa State loses a game. Okay. So say Iowa State loses to Cincinnati. That's a massive one because that's a like opponent. Okay. So we've got this. Say Iowa State. Let's see. Did I have them losing any other games? Iowa State. Iowa State losing to Cincinnati. Let's do Colorado losing to Utah, right? Okay. We still get in. Okay. Because now the tiebreaker is against the number 4 team is Cincinnati. So again, if Cincinnati can beat Iowa State, that helps us in the long term, because then if we have the tied record, then we're going to jump Iowa State for that second place. So I've heard a lot of people say that the Kansas State game is the most important one. Here's the thing when it comes to the Kansas State one. If Kansas State loses any other game, they're not going to be the team that we're going to have to do the tiebreaker with. So really this game isn't as important, okay? So really what it comes down to, I would say, because Cincinnati's playing well, I don't know who's going to be better, Kansas State or Cincinnati. If both teams can lose, that's going to help us the most, okay? But as everybody will say, we need to focus on what we need to do. We need to win out, okay? You win out, that puts yourself in the best position possible. Now, here's another scenario that we could talk about. Is BYU a pretender or a contender? Okay. What I mean by that is BYU going to run the table? Are they going to go undefeated? Let's look at their games. Okay. BYU, Utah next week. That's going to be a good matchup. Okay. Going to be a good matchup. BYU, Kansas. BYU better win that. Okay. They better win that. BYU next Arizona State. Now that might be a tougher one. Okay. Arizona State has had a good season. DeMilton Wheat. I'll post the recording up afterwards, so you guys can catch up on that. So Arizona State, could BYU lose to them? So what does that look like? If Colorado wins out and BYU loses a game to Arizona State, do we get in? No, we do not. Iowa State takes 1, BYU takes 2, and they are above us based on common conference opponents, all played equal times at 7-0. Going 7-0 in the conference, they are going to still be ahead of us. So BYU needs to lose 2 games. The other game that would be nice for BYU, Utah, Kansas. This game is actually not the one that matters because we don't play Arizona State. BYU, Houston, we don't play Houston. So a BYU loss to Kansas, a BYU loss to Utah, that is where things get a little bit better. Okay. Still close above based on the number 4 team. The number 4 team in this situation would be Kansas State, which they lost to BYU. Now, again, if Kansas State loses another game, say to Arizona State, still not, because based on winning percentage against the number 4 team, Cincinnati. BYU beat Cincinnati as well. And then number 5, they go to the next game. Number 5, they beat them. So they're 2-0 versus we're 1-1 between these 2 teams. The tiebreakers are absolutely insane, guys. That's all I'm going to say about that. The tiebreakers are insane. We just need to know one thing, and that is we just need to win out. Win out, and you've got a shot at going to Arlington to play in the championship game. And boys, do we have a good chance of doing that. I mean, let's just talk about it. On the road at Texas Tech, I talked about it earlier. Afternoon game in Texas. We're in the month of November now, so we're not going to get that Texas heat that you would have in the beginning of the season. We're healthier, plus coming off the bye week. So we're going to be more healthy, and we're going to have that extra week to game plan and scheme for Texas Tech. Okay, so I like our chances. Colorado, Utah, I would feel a little bit worse if this was at Utah again, but at Colorado and with how close the game was last year, I have a good feeling about this game as well. Colorado and Kansas, it's at a neutral site. So again, we're getting lucky on the road, neutral site. Could this game be an afternoon game? I think it could. Okay. So that could be an important one there. I think we can get that dub as well. And then the last one is the big one, Colorado, Oklahoma State. Colorado, Oklahoma State. That is going to be a massive game, mostly for us. Oklahoma State is done. They are done. Okay. I don't know what is going on with Oklahoma State. Their play calling, they can't get out of their own way. Ollie Gordon is doing absolutely nothing. The team is just, I said this at the beginning of the season when I talked about Oklahoma State. I said that they are all Ollie Gordon, and if Ollie Gordon doesn't perform, they're not going to perform as a team. Well, sure enough, that's what's happening. They do not have a quarterback. Okay. They do not have a quarterback. So I like our chances at home. If we're having a chance to play in the Big 12 championship on that day, I really like what we're going to put together as a team. I'm going to be at that game. I'm going to give you guys some content from the game. If you guys see me at the game, if you happen to be there, make sure you guys say hi. I'm going to try and go to the DNVR tailgate that day. So a lot of awesome things for that game specifically, but hopefully we're playing for a chance to go to that Big 12 championship game. That is going to be an unbelievable atmosphere the day after Thanksgiving. So that is what we're looking at right there. Okay. So let's get to some of your comments. Again, you guys ask me any questions you guys have, as we go into the next week, as we start to turn the page and look towards Texas Tech. Again, make sure you guys join us Wednesday night for the Buff Blitz with David Talks Buffs, where we will discuss the upcoming game. But any questions that you guys might have? What is up, North Side? Appreciate you dropping in. Clip, you got it 100%. Win out. That's all that matters. 1-0 every week. 1-0 every week. Okay. Arizona State is peaking at the right time. Yes, they are. They are looking much better, which helps us. I'm glad that we don't play them. I'm glad that we don't play them down the stretch. They are going to help us out. So some of the teams that we're going to be fans of now going forward, Cincinnati, okay, Arizona State, Houston, teams that we are going to be rooting on each and every week. So those are teams that we need to Really, really look out at Northside. Exactly. ASU is going to be a tough for any team. Okay. And especially because that's a home game against BYU. Home game against BYU. That could potentially do something for us. Okay. TK agreed. Dan Hayes done for the season. But here's the good news, guys. The good news is we have depth. Last year, that injury would have been season over. Okay. Season over. But that's just the way it is. Okay. So yeah, that injury is not as impactful as it could have been to the team last year. Our defensive end room is probably the second deepest next to our wide receiver room. And so to see that, that is why it sucks. It really does. I don't know if he can redshirt. I don't know if he's going to medically redshirt. If he has it still available to potentially come back next year, that'd be awesome. But if not, I hope that maybe he can, recover and do enough to play in the Big 12 championship, to play in the playoffs or the bowl game, whichever we get to. I have a feeling we haven't seen the end of Deion Hayes. Okay. We have not seen the end of Deion Hayes. What's the best bowl? If CU doesn't make it to the Big 12 championship. I mean, the playoffs are the goal. Other than that, any bowl game, I mean, we're in the bowl games. That's great. We're going to have an extra game to show off. We're going to have an extra game to try and win a trophy for the program. What bowl we go to really doesn't matter. I think what will happen is they're going to try and give us a good matchup when it comes to TV ratings. So whichever SEC or Big Ten team just misses out on the playoffs, I could see us matching up with them. Like, here's one for you. If Indiana somehow does not stay undefeated and drops a little bit, I could see that being a matchup that they want to see. Signetti versus Prime, two newer coaches that have turned around programs. I could see that as a potential matchup that they'd want to get in a bowl game if it's not the CFP playoffs. Other than that, like I said, any of the SEC teams, Florida, if they can get bowl eligible, Auburn, Alabama, any of those big programs that bring eyes to a game, to see them play Colorado in a bowl game is going to be the bowl game committee's dream scenario. So as far as where it's at, that's going to be, up to them, but I don't see us getting a bad. Yeah, that's a good one, Darren. I could see Penn State. I could see a Penn State being a good one if they drop off a little bit more and aren't competing for the Big Ten championship. That's another really good one that I could see us getting matched up against. So I think it's more about that. This team is destined to make it to the Big 12 ship. We believe. I agree right now. I do 100%. This seems like a team of destiny. Every team goes through adversity and hardship, and this team has done so well to bounce back after that I really like their chances of making this run and doing what they need to do. They're definitely not above themselves. They're not taking this, they're not letting it get to their head. They're not. They really, really, really are not. Hold on one sec. Okay. Apologies. Yeah, so this team is destined to go there. They have the right stuff in place. We have the skill. We know that we have the skill. Okay. And we have the coaching this year. We do. We have the coaching this year compared to last year. And we have the motivation. These boys have come together. I didn't get a chance to talk about this, but the way that the team has rallied around Webb Walker with his lymphoma announcement, before the Cincinnati game, my heart goes out to him. Buffs fans have done a really good thing when it comes to the GoFundMe for him. He has, raised way more money. And it goes to show the power of this team, this program, you fans. Okay. So Corey, Hayes had a procedure, probably won't be back anytime soon. Did you forget that Cordell Russell had a procedure as well and came back after, I think, 3 or 4 weeks? Okay. So that's why we were saying that Hayes could be back for a Big 12 championship, a bowl game, the playoffs. I could see him try and make an appearance in those. So I don't think his season's completely done, especially now. Well, actually, no. So Cordell put on his Instagram, it was like second or third week of the season where he had another procedure. Things were not going well. So a lot of people thought that was the end of Cordell Russell. And then Coach Prime said he's coming back. So I would not rule out Deion Hayes completely done for the season. Okay. Is this weekend the biggest? Every weekend is the biggest, Darren. Every weekend is the biggest game in the Coach Prime era now. Okay. Each and every week from here on out, the playoffs have begun, guys. The playoffs have begun. Okay. Colorado needs to win out and control their destiny. The playoffs have begun. So each and every week will be bigger than the last. Win, move on, 1-0 every week, and we have a chance to do something that this program has not seen for a while. 2016, obviously, we made that run and made it to the Pac-12 championship game. But this would be massive for us, okay? This is only the second bowl game since 2008, 2005, I think is what the stats said. The second time we've been bowl eligible. I think a lot of people who are not longtime Buffs fans do not realize just how bad this program was. Just how bad it was 2 years ago. Why this turnaround was so unbelievable. Okay. C5 had collarbone surgery. You'd be out a couple weeks. Deion injury looked like foot or leg. Might take some time. Absolutely. I'm just saying there might be a chance. There might be a chance depending on what the procedure was. Again, we don't know, which kind of sucks. I hate that we don't ever know, but that's just where it's at. Keep in mind, Keaton Wade was an absolute stud, can play in 3 of the next 4 regular season games, plus the postseason without losing his red shirt. That's a good weapon to replace Deion. Very good point, Jay. Very good point. We did not see Keaton this last weekend, even though I heard a lot of Buffs fans saying they wanted that to be one of his games. If I'm Coach Prime, when it comes to the games we have left, I say we play him in every game except Kansas. I say we hold him back against Kansas. We play him this weekend. We play him against Utah. And then, of course, we play him against Oklahoma State. Okay. I would love to see that. This is the one I didn't want, Northside. CU versus USC would be crazy because recruiting will be on 10. That's the one I'm probably most scared of because we could have a lot of momentum going into that bowl game. And if USC somehow we don't play well against them, that would not be well for our recruiting. So that one could be rough, be a little tough. We will definitely need him against Texas Tech. Agreed. Texas Tech's probably one of the best games we have remaining. And so I do agree that we should probably bring out Wade this week. Jay, again, yep. Thank you. Appreciate the comment. And so, yeah. Any other last minute questions that we have before we kind of conclude today's stream? Right about an hour. Absolutely loved it. I want to talk about one more thing before I go, guys. So don't jump off just yet. I always see the views jump off here big time. We're not completely done yet. Okay. We're not done yet. First off, I would appreciate it if all the people in here would just hit the like button real quick. Very easy to do. Takes a second. That does a lot of support. Obviously, a subscription would be awesome if you want to subscribe to the channel. But I wanted to again reiterate and thank everybody out there for the support that they've shown the last 2 weeks. If you missed the first couple minutes of the stream, make sure you go back and watch it. I would appreciate that because I kind of shared the life stuff that got in the way the last 2 weeks and kind of just what I've been dealing with. And I've very much appreciated everybody else, people on Twitter, people all over the place who reached out and, sent their condolences and support and mindfulness. Really, really appreciate it. So, make sure you guys go back and listen to that part if you missed it. So again, thank you guys so much. Northside, if we go to the playoffs, who would we play? I have no idea. We're going to find out this week because the college football playoff rankings are coming out. So you'll have an idea of what it's shaping up to be. But my guess is if we run the table and win the Big 12, you're maybe a top 7, top 10 team, which doesn't bode well. You're probably looking at the Big 10 champion or the SEC champion potentially being in the way. Who would I want to play? Oof. I mean, I would love to play, a Bama, a Georgia. If I'm saying just TV wise, Miami, can you imagine a Miami Colorado game matchup? If you're a Colorado fan, that's just historical in and of itself because of our history with Miami from the 90s. Obviously, Cam Ward versus Shador, select quarterback matchup. There'd be a lot of things. Cormani McClain, or he's at Florida. He's not at Miami. Never mind. Still, Miami would feed people, guys. That would feed TV execs a Miami game. So that would be an unbelievable one that I think for sure would be awesome to see. Okay, guys, thank you guys so much again. Really appreciate all the support. Thank you guys for the super chats at the beginning. Again, Chairman A, appreciate you so much. Kevin, appreciate you. It really, really is very meaningful to me that you guys would do that. So thanks again for doing that. And for the rest of you guys, make sure you guys come back Wednesday night for the Buff Blitz and make sure that you guys are subscribed, liked, all that wonderful things. Otherwise, appreciate you guys. We'll see you on Wednesday. Until then, Sco Buffs.
Give me my theme music.